Moira and I shifted over here to the living room. I guess that's what you call this, right? The living room?
Yeah.
And, you know, you
Unless we brought in food. Then we could make it the dining room.
We could have a coffee. That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
Oh, we could start cooking and make it the kitchen. Maggie John has joined us. Maggie was a key player as a producer for the reports we brought your way from Uganda just a few months ago. Was it a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, more than a couple months ago, just before Christmas.
At the end of November, beginning of December.
Yeah, yeah. And we featured the Uganda needs, that northern part of Uganda that's been decimated by the Lord's Resistance Army with Joseph Kony, a madman, for 20 years. Just basically undermining and destroying infrastructure, including wells, tremendous need for water, huge incidence of waterborne diseases. And so we went there, and we have some key partners on the ground, and Maggie has come to give us a little update. Maggie, how did we do, and how are we doing?
Good news. I remember we were in the vehicle in Africa, and we were talking about this goal, and I remember we were saying, you know, we truly believe in our viewers. And that's one thing that I always say to people. I am so impressed always by our viewers and how they see a need, and they just plunge into it, and they say, we're going to help. And so we raised $700,000.
Wow.
And so when you add the CETA matching fund to that, that's $1.2 million that's going to Uganda. Isn't that amazing?
So our goal of 52 boreholes has been exceeded. We'll be able to do far more than that. And also I think some of it will be able to be applied to the ongoing water agricultural plan and bring more people into the mix. More orphans and widows will benefit from this, right?
Right. Well, you remember speaking to Grace, and I think we have some footage of Grace. Yeah. She was a widow. She was HIV positive. There she is with her 3 kids. She had found out that she had HIV while she was in an IDP camp, I believe. And she so desperately wanted to be a part of the agricultural program. I think we had articulated that if we were able to raise above and beyond our goal, we would be able to help people like Grace. And so that's what we were able to do. Grace is now going to be added to the agricultural team, as well as I believe 100 other people are now going to be new beneficiaries of the agricultural group that we have in Uganda. You know, so this is the seeds, this is all of the tools. I mean, you know, we saw Grace and we saw all the land that was around her little hut, and she so desperately, even though she was weak, I remember her talking to you and she was so weak. And to be able to have somebody to come alongside her and know that, you know, a perfect stranger like you, Jim, came up to her and said, we're going to try to help you. And we lived up to that.
And you know, this was really important. Even as I spoke those words, I realized we have a responsibility to follow through.
Yep.
I didn't want to disappoint her.
Right.
And the fact that we're able to bring her on board and so many others is just, I mean, what a blessing.
Yeah.
When you see these people, whatever ministry is being featured, and you see the need, as a viewer, your heart says, I hope they're not going to leave them like that. I hope they're going to do something. I read this verse yesterday, Psalm 22:26. The poor will eat and be satisfied, David said. They who seek the Lord will praise him. May your hearts live forever.
And you bring up such a good point, Moira, because I remember coming back from Uganda and talking to my mom and just, you know, so impressed with everything that we saw. And she challenged me. She said, I hope you bring updates because, you know, you see a lot of charities that do great work, but you never see how this money really impacts people. So I'm so proud that we were able to bring that update. We also have the update of an area that we saw that had horrible water. The water, I think you had described it as like mud or chocolate milk.
It looked like chocolate milk.
Right. So we're going to remind our viewers. I think we have a part of that report that we're going to show, and we'll bring an update after.
Okay.
As we've been saying, unsafe water is everywhere, and more than 1 billion people on this planet have no access other than to unsafe water. Now, case in point, we're in the really the backcountry of northern Uganda. This is Colleen. She's 12 years of age, and she's going down to get some water for her household. And, you know, it's mostly little girls who carry the water for families, and so she's a good case in point. It weighs about 60 pounds. She's just a little person herself. But let's follow her down to the water source. Okay, Colleen, let's go. Now here we are at a water hole which provides water for an entire community. And Michael, who is with me, is a part of the community. He lives here, And Michael, I want you to talk to me about this water. I mean, I'm looking at the water and I'm seeing mud water, and yet the people are using this to drink?
Yes, exactly. This is the very water the people around here, almost about 7 villages, use this water.
And they cook with it, they wash with it?
They cook with it, they wash with it, and even they drink.
Now, when you say drink, they drink it like this, or do they filter it somehow?
No, some of them, when they fetch this water, take to their places, some of them boil the water, others can filter with the handkerchiefs, others even just drink just as
Drink it as it is?
Yes, exactly. Many visitors visit this water, and we have seen no result.
So you've had...
Even, especially politicians.
I really took note when he said that. Many people visit, no result, especially politicians. And again, I'm thinking, Maggie, and you were there.
Yeah.
Boy, we better do something for these people, and we are.
Yeah, yeah. So we have some exciting pictures to show you of the well that has now.
Oh, really?
Look at this.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Shallow well construction. So we have now inserted a borehole into this new place, and I think there's some more pictures ahead. There you go. We have the construction there. I know that we saw that happening when we were down there too. Look at that. So now these people who had so many politicians and so many visitors come and and gawk at what they were suffering through, now can say that they now have clean water. Isn't that amazing?
Fantastic. That's fast.
Yeah.
And there's 3 communities, as I recall, who depend on that water. Plus, there's a market just about 2 kilometers away. And it's quite common on market day for the people at the marketplace to come to that water source just for some drinking water. And they've been drinking that brown stuff too. So now they're going to have this this well, which is just terrific. Now, what about Alice?
Now that was the story that I think broke all of our hearts when we heard about Alice. And I was so excited to hear that they've started construction on putting a roof on her house. This was the house before. They've realized, and that was the mango tree that they were staying under for a while.
This is Alice and her 3 siblings.
Yeah.
Alice is 14. She's on the right there.
Right.
And she was caring for her little family.
All HIV
household with no house, really.
Yeah, and
right.
here they
all
are
HIV positive.
singing a song about hope, and they're all HIV positive. I mean, this is when you went one way and I went the other, and we were both weeping, Maggie. I mean, it just broke your heart.
Yeah, I always pray for Alice. I mean, she's somebody that you can never forget. And so they realized that the house obviously needed some work, the walls needed some work. And so they are refurbishing the house and putting a brand new roof on Alice's
and the
house.
kids are all on antiretrovirals, and they're also
all of their school fees.
Their school fees are being taken care of. Which is absolutely terrific. Yeah. Now, this was your first time in Africa, right?
It was.
It's been a few months. You've been kind of thinking through all that you saw and all that you experienced. What was the impact on you personally?
Africa will never leave your heart. I think you had said that too. It's just one of those places that you'll always remember. And I think stories like Alice make me realize how much more I need to, as a reporter, as a producer, stay focused outside of our realm, not just telling great news stories here, but also to show people. I mean, when we see that $700,000 was raised by this, we know that Canadians are so giving. And we know that there's such a world out there that we can tend to forget about and tend to take for granted and think we're all in our nice little bubble. But I've realized that there's just this world out there that I so connected with. I felt so at home in Africa. And it'll never leave my heart.
The red soil gets into your heart.
It does.
And isn't there a shift, Maggie, from probably the initial overwhelm? The need, the problems are so great. But then you meet the individuals. And you see that you can make a difference. There's a shift, isn't there?
Yeah.
From something that may seem too big to something you absolutely must respond to.
Yeah, tears of pain and sorrow when we met Alice, and now tears of joy in knowing that her and her brothers are going to be taken care of.
In terms of worldview, that's really what you're talking about. I really, have to stress again, friends, to those of you who maybe are hearing about this for the first time and weren't involved in the special Uganda emphasis a few months ago, that we need to, all of us, live for something bigger than ourselves. We need to see the big picture. We need to understand that there's a massive world out there, And the interesting thing about it, it's a spiritual principle. To the extent that you live for the sake of others, you find your own kind of self fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know?
Destiny.
Now, you don't do it in order to be fulfilled, but the fact is, when you do it for the other person, there's something healing that happens within you yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's been a great report, Magdalene, and we are thrilled about your response, friends. And you're going to be hearing from us again about other needs in Africa and other parts of the world. And we always know that when the need is presented, you respond. And we want to thank you for what you've done, and thank you, Maggie, for coming our way. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to go back to my interview with Todd Burpo, Heaven is for Real.